It's great to be with you today on the Lance Wallnau Show. The reason why you don't want to miss this show is because I'm going to tell you things nobody else is telling you. It's a bold statement, and I'm going to back it up. You just stay with me for this little brief period of time, and I'm going to give you certain information, certain perspectives that nobody else is talking about. It's not that it's not out there. I find it on the internet, but you see, I have a particular worldview that enables me to identify particular patterns that make me prophetically precise in all of my predictions. And so I'll tell you what's coming and what's happening right now. But right now, I got a special guest. Made the mistake of visiting me in my studio office today, Tom. Was coming to watch what I do for my show. I was with him recently. I forget where we were, but we were together somewhere.
Last Saturday.
At a Bible study.
At a Bible study.
And yes, I was invited at the last minute to a group of great guys, like 30, 40, 50 business guys and various people in Dallas. And hey, they needed me, so I got up early, went down there, and there was Tom. So Tom's in the studio today. But you know what? I don't have a studio audience because I don't have space for it. So if you come to my studio, you're in the show. How's that, Tom?
I found that out.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. Is a recording artist. One of the reasons I came to Texas because I was at a conference he was doing years ago, Amber Rose conference, as I recall. And so he had his worship CDs he was doing, and I spoke there. But he's an entrepreneur. He lives out there in the wilderness out here in Texas on a big farm with animals. Is that right?
Lots of animals, yes.
What kind of animal? I'm curious about this.
We have, we have cows, we have goats, we have chickens, we have our fresh eggs every day. We have deer, wild hogs, turkey, and various assorted other crawling things.
He's like Daniel Boone living on his own. That's typical Texas type guy here.
It is peaceful out there.
And it's peaceful.
Very quiet.
It's very quiet. Well, I'm here in the hustle and bustle. I want to talk to you. What are they doing? They're trying. Since I talked to you last time, we had Trump getting here's the amazing thing about the thing with Trump. The charges, nobody can explain to you, well, what he's being locked up for. You would be locked up and in prison for, like it's morally wrong to pay for a non-disclosure agreement with Stormy Daniels. So people can't tell you what the crime was. Oh, it's not like he hid it. It's a question of whether or not it was exposed in such a way that the Democrats could utilize it before the election. And no, he did it in such a way that the Democrats couldn't use it. They're so mad so basically, you could have a fake dossier to try to pull a president out of office like Hillary Clinton did with the CIA and the FBI working with her, try to pull out an existing president. And there, my friend, that's not a crime. But if you don't do the bookkeeping properly on a cover-up that they believe helped you get elected because they didn't have that dirt to sling, you are a criminal. How's it going down with America? You're going to find out. 91% of Americans that are educated, not the ones that are already, zombified by the left. The smart, open-minded ones are going, I think something's wrong. Something smells fishy here. Tom, isn't that the man on the street perspective?
It is, yes. When I've been talking with people on the street, in fact, I've asked recently, can you name the charges that President Trump was convicted on? Yeah, he did a thing, paid some girl hooker thing. Well, that's okay. What's the crime they charged him for? Well, he wasn't supposed to do that, and it was interfering with the election. I said, what's the crime, though? Well, I'm not sure, but they have one. I mean, literally.
Yeah, 34 counts. You know what it is? It's 34 book entries. It's like the crime is 34 check entries that since then till now. By the way, they waited since 2009 or some of the 10 or some when this incident happened. They waited till now because they wanted to spring the trap when they could get the right Soros-funded DA with the right 86 to 90% of the jury aligned with them in New York or D.C., and they wanted to do it right in time for the election. And they pulled it, just like Steve Bannon. So they got Steve Bannon. Now they just, the jury or the Congress that was meeting on January 6th. These folks that is this kangaroo commission where they had, and I know that some of you know the facts and it's like, Lance, we already know this, but you would be surprised if many people don't know this stuff. This kangaroo commission, which was made up of all the Republicans we wanted to put on it, Pelosi refused to put on, like a Jim Jordan. I mean, an honest broker. they only wanted anti-Trump Republicans. So they got Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, who hate Trump. And so they got basically they're Democrats with a Republican label. So they basically credited this kangaroo court. And they did not show any of the testimony or evidence that contradicted their narrative because it was a show trial. They hired an ABC producer from the Academy Awards to help stagecraft the narrative. It's just like Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman.
Exactly.
The deal is, it was a fake commission. Peter Navarro said, if this was legitimate, I'd come up there. But I had nothing to do with anything. I wasn't even there. Bannon, I wasn't even there. You guys are just trying to associate my name with it to do me political damage. You're a fake commission. Guess what? They both are going to prison. 3 to 4 months. Navarro's in prison. But when did they choose to do this? The 4 months before the election. That's when they want to put them in prison. So Bannon him and Charlie Kirk have like the largest conservative podcast. They're going to silence him in prison. They're going to sentence Trump 3 days before the national convention for the Republican Party, so they could lock him up, and then act like they're giving him clemency. They want the idea being that you're putting a convicted, jailed, prison felon into the White House. Now the average American is getting so. What's the word that Christians can use? You ever know we need a Christian cuss directory so that we get the gratification psychologically of being able to say something that expresses and emotes without saying something that is not good speech. Anyway, something needs to be said. Tom, I mean, am I exaggerating? I'm a little hot right now, but am I exaggerating? Oh, wait, I want you to answer that. I apologize. My producer is annoying me with the realization that I have not done what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm supposed to do right now? I'm supposed to tell you about Mike Lindell's battle. Mike is being bankrupted. My friend Mike Lindell. And I'll tell you what, there's no patriot like Mike Lindell. Look at this here picture I've got. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the podcast world, I've got Mike Lindell holding the American flag. Why a certain software company right now is taking him to court to wipe him out because he says the machines, revelation of revelation, the machines are no more trustworthy than the Democrat Party or the FBI for that matter. I put my head upon this pillow, ladies and gentlemen. This is an American pillow. It's in the back office, Tom. I'm coming back to you in a second, but I want you to catch this. I sleep with Mike Lindell's pillow, ladies and gentlemen, in the back for my 15-minute cat naps before I go on Flashpoint late at night. I got these slippers. I walk around my own house with Mike Lindell slippers. Mike Lindell, I get out of the bathtub. I'm in a Mike Lindell bathrobe. I sleep in the office with a Mike Lindell pillow. I walk around the neighborhood with a Mike Lindell set of slippers because they're so comfortable. Have you ever felt these, how substantial they are?
I haven't, no.
Yeah. I mean, they're solid. You could basically defend your life with one of these, ladies and gentlemen. If you were attacked by a mugger, take a Mike Lindell slipper off and beat them to a pulp in the name of the Lord. Now,
and then raise them back up.
What I want you to do is, and then raise them back up and have them repent. Yeah. I want you to go to mypillow.com, use promo code Lance because you can get these, all of these, and I use them. The $25 for a 2 multi-use MyPillow, but get 2 pillows for $25. The sandals I bought for $50 or $60 last Christmas are only $25. You can't beat this. I even have one of those MyPillow new pillows, which is the 2.0 pillow, which diffuses the heat. You know, my head gets very hot because my hard drive and my brain is working. And so I have to flip that pillow around a lot, but not with the MyPillow 2.0. It diffuses the heat. Go to mypillow.com, use promo code Lance, and join Lance and help Mike as a patriot fight the Leviathan that's trying to bankrupt him and destroy him. We've got to stand together. All right, Mike Lindell, Peter Navarro, Bannon, Trump, Tom Davis, man on the street. What in the world does this register at all with people? What's going on?
It does with the people that listen to the Lance Wallnau Show. It's sadly, a lot of Christians I've spoken with, what they'll say, yeah, I'm not into politics. I don't want to hear about all that. The Trump guy, he's not a good guy, and the other guy's not good either. I may vote, I may not. Well, actually, you are into politics because how's your grocery bill? How's your gas bill? That has everything to do with politics. When you go to the store, prices are so much. I just read yesterday, 65% of the middle class in America can't afford to do anything anymore, that it's gone so high. So people are realizing they're feeling the pinch. A lot of them just don't know why. So people like you and others are educating them. And slowly but surely, more and more people are waking up, like the light bulb goes off. And I tell them, I really do steer them to you, because you're speaking truth. And the Steve Bannons and the Dan Bonginos and others. When you speak the truth, it clicks. People get it all of a sudden, and then they'll start to ask questions.
Yeah, and and these Christians that we've got out there that have that attitude are really useless. I mean, they're useless, because right when you need them the most, like there's a fire in the kitchen. I'm sorry, I don't get myself involved with fire. Only Holy Ghost fire. Revival fire is the only fire I'm involved with. Yeah, well, your neighbor's house burns down and all the kids are in the house. Real courageous hero you are. All right, look, I'm going to play a segment right now, because I've been predicting all along God's going to raise up on this side of the millennium. He will raise up a foretaste of the future. We are called to preach the gospel of the kingdom. By the way, very few people can go from everything I just said politically to the Bible as passionately
That was a
as
very
I'm
nice segue.
about to go right now.
Very nice segue.
You can taste the future. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached. What is that all about? It means that there's going to be a demonstration and a foretaste of the age to come. Now, the murder capital of the world, El Salvador, with the MS-13 doing satanic offerings of babies and giving themselves over to demon gods of violence. God raised up a president, a businessman, who, by the way, refused to run for office. A prophet came to him. You're supposed to run. He said, no, both parties are corrupt. Another prophet comes. God said, you're supposed to run for office. He said, you're the second guy that's told me that. I'm not running because the whole system's corrupt. Third prophet comes, Tom. He says, you don't want to be the man God sends a fourth prophet to. He's basically, this is the fear, and the fear of God hit him. He goes, I cannot run. Both parties are corrupt. So he wrote his name in as an independent with his own party that doesn't exist. And the country voted him into office. First thing he does is he locks up MS-13. He didn't care. You're tattooed from head to foot with 666 and Satan on your head. That's it. That's enough for me. Into the prison you go, well, what about due process? Yeah, here's the due process. Do the process and lock them all up.
That's
Boom.
right.
They're locked up. Now suddenly crime is eradicated. The economy is in a renaissance. And Tucker Carlson interviews me. He says, well, your economic policy is ask God for wisdom. And your first strategy is pray. You find out the guy is a prototype of the future. Cyrus rulers like Trump. God gave, here's a shark. This shark represents all the demonic forces in America. God gave us Cyrus once. He's going to do it again because they're rising up. Milei, that guy in Argentina, crazy guy. He is like a bomb thrower. He is having a time of his life picking a fight with the Marxists and kicking them out of every position in government. I want you to watch this quick interview with Tucker Carlson just to get a taste of what I'm talking about.
MS-13 is one of the major gangs.
And they are satanic. They started doing satanic rituals. I don't know exactly when that started, but it was well documented. In the case of El Salvador, we were literally the murder capital of the world. And we turned it into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere.
You did that in just a couple years. How did you change it?
So we pray.
You've transformed the country in a good way. You're literally the most popular elected leader in the world. Did you ever worry they would try and put you in jail?
Well, they did.
What advice would you give to another former democratically elected leader seeking office who is facing jail
Trump.
time?
Democracy works. Nobody can say it doesn't. But if you don't give maintenance to the system, you will fall.
In your inaugural, you said, in this term, the first point of my plan is seek God's wisdom.
Yes.
That is what you said.
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
Why would that be the first point of an economic plan?
Why wouldn't it be?
Why would that be the first point of an economic plan? Why? Because if you don't make wise policy, you make stupid policies, and smart people will steal your shorts. And that's China, and that's the elites right now, and the globalists sucking the money. That vacuum cleaner sound is the sound of your money getting sucked into their pockets while they manipulate you with news cycles.
Yes.
So, Tom, this cat, this president of El Salvador, I don't think America sees it. We're not catching it. This is a Cyrus ruler. This is a foretaste of millennial kings that are going to be ruling under Jesus. I'm going to say it for all you people that are watching me only for the purpose of trying to find that incendiary soundbite that you can put on Right Wing Watch. There it is. God's raising up certain leaders that are a model of the policies and power of the age to come. That's it. That's a righteous ruler, and that's in a sense incorruptible leadership. And what does he say? He says, prayer, wisdom, and then some pretty gutsy action.
Yeah, it's a lot more than going to church on Sunday and going out to lunch afterwards. We've lost touch with reality in America, I think, in the church. I'm going to bring it back to that. When you read the Bible, that the culture was, everything was all inclusive. It wasn't go to your job, come home, then go to church on Sunday and come back. Everything all worked together for the sake of the nation. And we've lost that. We've kind of isolated ourselves as American Christians, I think, from what's going on in the world and letting it happen when God is our Father. And all we have to do is reach out to him. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is living in us. Why aren't we letting him out? Going out to the streets and prophesying over those people and calling forth the leaders that should be standing, in the White House, in Congress, and let God have his way there. But it seems like there's timidity. It seems like there's...
Well, and you make a good point. And it's one of my pet peeves that I want you all to pay attention to the silence of the lambs. Some of the most outspoken, prolific writers and teachers, I mean, they're writing in the Christian Post stuff. They're on podcasts. But you notice that they're yapping, but they're not saying anything about Trump. They're not saying anything about Bannon. They're not saying anything about lawfare. They're not saying anything about rigged elections. You know why? Because they've already subscribed to Russell Moore's theology of critical disengagement from politics and distancing oneself from Trump, the MAGA movement, the Patriots. Can't tell you how long it was till after January 6th, so many had to go underground because we knew that was a setup. When I was there, I know what happened. And it's not to say that out of 2 million people or 1.5 million, that you're not going to have a percentage that are absolutely frustrated. And, hey, listen, we've got our version of the left. It's just that our version doesn't burn down police precincts and bring guns and put policemen in the hospital. And all that news cycle that was quoted by our Christian podcasters and authors to browbeat us over Christian nationalism and the danger of Christian nationalism played right into the hands of the left. They played into Leviathans. They played into the demon's hands.
Right.
And so basically guys like me backed up. Didn't change my thinking. I just said, well, right now I got to pick my fights. Wait till we find out how many feds were, how much, and we find out 200 underground FBI agents were there. Giuliani was the first guy that exposed it, but then they had to bankrupt him and try to lock him up too.
Yep.
They bankrupted Giuliani. They want to lock him up. They're bankrupting and trying to lock up Bannon and Navarro. They can't bankrupt Trump, so they'll just settle for locking him up. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not dealing with a normal American. Don't tell me this is just like, look, can't get involved with politics. It's past that. The National Socialist Party is now manifesting itself. It's Germany. And we're in Bonhoeffer land, where the church is either going to recognize the danger of what's there and deal with it, or it's going to actually be embarrassed at the throne of grace because of our failure to stand up and defend. So you heard what that guy said in El Salvador? Democracy works. You just have to kind of fix it every now and then.
Yeah.
The fix is 30 million Christians that don't vote, getting off your blessed butt and waking up to the moment. This is the Super Bowl. It's the best time to be alive. I don't want to be negative. It's the best time. I can hardly sleep. I'm scoring more points every day that matter in eternity. Souls are getting saved. Righteousness is advancing. Babies are getting delivered from abortion.
Yeah, God.
Trans surgeries are being stopped against kids. Perverts are getting out of the girls' locker rooms. That's the front lines I'm on. All the tours we're doing are getting souls saved, demons bound, and policies changed. That's the front line, as opposed to sitting back and doing another article on kingdom theology. And by the way, it sounds divisive what I'm saying, but I want to read to you from 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 18. First of all, when you come together as a church, I hear there are divisions among you. And in part, I believe it. Yes, there are divisions among you. There must be divisions among you, that those who are approved can be made conspicuous. What is Paul saying? Unity is the desired goal. But Tom, if we're at a table and half the preachers there are willing to put up with slavery, and half are saying we need to act decisively to end slavery, and nobody wants to talk about slavery, the bold person who brings it up and says, let's call for a vote right now. How many of you are for, how many are against? And now the awkward conversation. Why did you have to bring him to dinner? There's a division at the party. Why? It was necessary to reveal the 5 preachers that are righteous and the 5 that are politicians. And right now, what's weird is we got a bunch of anti-Trump politician preachers. They're saying stay out of politics. That's like John Maxwell camp. Stay out of politics, Pastor. It's divisive. Billy Graham said to me as he was dying, John, avoid politics. You got to understand, Billy Graham in his 80s and 90s was not the same man who Billy Graham was. I give fighters credit for when they scored their points. He wasn't on the scene as a compromise candidate speaking a Norman Vincent Peale message. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, he was involved with politics. And he got beat up, and he didn't get a whole lot of support, and he backed up from it. But you didn't need to be political with Ronald Reagan in the White House.
Exactly.
Rush Limbaugh made his millions, built his following with Clinton in the White House. You didn't need to be political back then. But when he showed up, Billy Graham started the first Washington prayer breakfast with the president. That was Billy Graham, spoke at the first one. What would you do, William? Billy, would you not do that now? He got Eisenhower to put "In God We Trust" as the national motto and recruited Eisenhower to run. Did you know that? He was the post-World War II prophetic evangelist to the West and filled arenas because he was moved by the fear of the specter of godless atheist communism coming to destroy America, and America being weighed in the balance as a nation blessed but departing from its fear of God and being found wanting. And he put the fear of God, and then he added a nuclear question as to whether or not we would live to see the obliteration of the world with atomic weapons. Fear was on everybody. They came to that altar. But whether by fear or by compassion, people got saved. He drifted from that because it was no longer necessary. America went into a period of mourning in America with Reagan, and then he adjusted. Anyway, that's the logic of all the preachers who quote Billy Graham. They're not quoting him when God anointed him and he made his fame. They're talking to him after the gust was behind him, right. And basically he was running off of the power of his first 20 years in political engagement.
Powerful.
But Paul says there must be divisions.
Yeah.
And right now I say those preachers and those Christians that are not willing to get involved in this battle, well, they're like the slavery. They're like the ones that are pro-slavery no, they weren't pro-slavery. I wouldn't go that far. They were anti-slavery. They just didn't think that politics was worth getting involved with. They stayed out. They believed preaching the kingdom was what they needed to do. This is actually a PhD thesis. The border states, pulpits, preached stay out of politics. That's Maryland and Kentucky and Delaware. Stay out of politics and preach the gospel. You know why? Because they were border states. They had too many Southerners in the congregation. They didn't want to get lynched. They had too many Northerners. They didn't want to get shot. So they just stayed neutral. That's most political pulpits today. They're neutral.
Yeah, no, that's right. You made a point earlier that, well, several points. I've ruined more than one nice dinner party because I can't help but bring this up and talk about what's going on in the country. And the people will respond, where are you hearing that? Well, everywhere. And so I'll start talking about facts, what's really going on, what's proven. You're kidding, I had no idea. Why? Obviously, but let me help you. And the dinner party, I don't get invited back because they don't want to be involved in politics, but they're a little more educated at that point. But people, you're right, are afraid to talk about it, especially as believers, as Christians. They shy back from, let's just love God and love each other. But like, what if your neighbor's house is on fire? Are you going to go help and put it out, or are you going to just tell everybody his house on fire?
I mean, the fact of the matter is they know the data. They know their audience will turn on them also. That's why they're a bit hypocritical.
Right, exactly.
I know what they believe based on what they don't talk about and what they've warned me about, worried about me being pro-Trump, involved in politics. 7 mountains, folks. It's not a mystery what I teach. To the degree that you're engaged in media, to that degree you don't have propaganda. To the degree that you're engaged in education, to that degree your kids are going to be indoctrinated in a trans worldview. You must occupy or expect witchcraft to occupy all the high places around you, and then you're not going to be able to hide in your little Christian bubble, because your bubble will burst when the left takes it over. And they'll lock up your church, just like they did with COVID. They'll shut you down, mask you, and isolate you. Do you know that Gavin Newsom actually was coming against people that were gathering together and singing and having Bible studies? Mm-hmm. This is gruesome Newsom, and nobody's even talking about this. Makes me so mad. He was going after Christians gathering with a guitar in a living room to worship, while he was blessing Black Lives Matter rioters as an act of God, and they were not social distancing. They were a mess. So I'm telling you, we got some weird stuff going on out there. But you want to follow Lance Wallnau on all platforms. Go to lancewallnau.com/podcast. If I disappear on this platform, if one day you come here and I'm not there, remember, lancewallnau.com, WALLNAU, build the wall now, wallnow.com/podcast. That's good. You don't want to miss tomorrow's episode, because I got all these things I haven't talked about. I'm going to talk about them right now, but we're going to put it on tomorrow. All right, because I got to get this out of my system. Thank you, Tom Davis. Stick around for our next show. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless you. And don't forget, mypillow.com, promo code Lance. You'll sleep with Gaza Dream Sheets. Giza. It's Giza? Gaza?
Gaza.
Isn't Gaza where Hamas is right now? It's the Giza Dream Sheets. My God, what kind of nightmares would I have about Gaza Dream Sheets? No. I think they're Giza Dream. Anyway, yeah. Egyptian cotton. That's what it is. Egyptian cotton. Not Gaza. Giza. Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Giza. Lance Wallnau. That's right. Giza. Oh, it's Giza. MyPillow.com. Promo code Lance for the Giza Sheets.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.